I'm changing things up just a little bit over here. New topics, more episodes, even some new music. So listen to this episode to find out what's different and what's to come. I'm Lisa Mustard, marriage and family therapist, coach, and host of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. And I'm sharing new Put It Into Practice episodes each week where I'll bring you tips, ideas, and suggestions on how to up-level your emotional and mental health. And I'll be covering a variety of topics in these episodes to help you live your best life. Hey friends, did you notice that new intro and music? Because I'm doing something new with the podcast. But before I share what's coming with the show, I want to tell you that I'm using a new service from Libsyn, which is my host platform. So I'm recording this episode with Libsyn Studio. Well, what's that, right? Libsyn Studio is a simple and free podcast website that lets you plan, record, launch, and distribute all in one place. Designed for those just starting to podcast or for those without any audio experience, Libsyn Studio is the fastest and easiest way to make a podcast. This is my first episode using Libsyn Studio, and if I can figure this out, then I know you can too. But in all seriousness, this is perfect timing because I've been wanting to expand my podcast, and using this service allows me to do just that. So keep listening to hear what's coming with the podcast. I want to introduce this episode by sharing that this is not like my usual episodes. The majority of my episodes are interviews with mental health clinicians, and we discuss the work of being a therapist, which includes professional development, business topics, treatment protocols, a lot of the things that those of us in the field tend to geek out over. However, I know that a lot of listeners are not therapists. In fact, quite a few of you are in grad school currently to be a therapist, or you're thinking about becoming a therapist one day. So a lot of what I share is of interest because it gives you some behind the scenes information or a little bit of what you might be able to expect once you've obtained your education and have that mental health license. And by the way, I love you all. My heart is with you because when I was in grad school, this type of information was really hard to come by. I mean, there were no podcasters out there sharing these types of things. And I don't even think there were any blogs at that time sharing these things. And then there's a segment of my audience that is growing, and those are the listeners who are just interested in mental health topics. Or perhaps they have dealt with some challenging and tough stuff over the years and are looking for some information on what might be going on with them internally. They want to learn about themselves, and so they tune in to hear about mental health topics, and perhaps they're hoping to hear themselves in someone else's story. So I've been thinking a lot about how to give more help and ideas to those in the third category, people who are interested in mental health, the growth process, self-development, emotional health, and I want to share that I'm going to be giving you just that moving forward. So I'll be bringing you solo episodes that are shorter in length than my usual interviews, but give you practical action steps you can apply to your life. However, it's really important to stress that these episodes are not meant to take the place of any work you're doing with your therapist or doctor. In fact, please run these ideas by your counselor or doctor before you act on them to make sure you're ready for them, or even if you are a fit for these ideas and suggestions. I can't stress this enough, you guys. Each person is unique and each person's situation is unique. So please talk to your doctor or counselor before starting anything new that I may be suggesting. All right, so let's dive into the first topic, how to find a therapist or find a counselor. Number one, Google or any search engine that you prefer. I use Google when I'm looking for something most of the time. You're going to type in what you're looking for. Therapist near me, anger management. Therapist near me, depression. Therapist near me, couples counseling. It's as simple as that, and you will get search results with all types of different counselors out there that are near you. Number two, Psychology Today. That is an online directory, and there are many, many out there, but I'm most familiar with Psychology Today. So how does that work? You pull that website up, you're going to input your zip code, and then filter by your preferences. So let's say you put your zip code in and all of these counselors pop up. On the left side, you're going to see how you can filter your preferences, and then you can start to do that. So you can filter by insurance, health insurance. You can filter by gender of the therapist. You can filter by mental health topic. So that's another great place where you can find all kinds of therapists. The next one that I want to recommend is ask a friend. I am willing to bet that you have a friend who's been to therapy, or a colleague maybe that has, been open with you about their mental health and what they've been going through. Ask that friend for a referral. It's as simple as that. Just ask a friend. Another thing you can do is you can ask your doctor. They are going to have a list of therapists that have reached out to them or that they have vetted and that they are open to sharing with their patients. So ask your doctor. Another thing you can do to find a therapist, ask in a community group on Facebook. You can even post anonymously if you're concerned about your identity or stigma. You can post it anonymously nowadays. I'm in a group for my city, and it seems like every couple weeks somebody's asking in the group, who do you know that's a therapist that works with X, Y, and Z? So you can ask that question, and then people in the community are going to give you their thoughts and opinions. The next thing you can do is you can, if you have a child and you want to find your child a counselor, you can ask the school counselor for recommendations. Okay, that is a great person to get referrals from, is that school counselor. A lot of the times, just like the doctor, they've made connections with therapists in the community. They've vetted them. They feel like, they do good work. And so they are happy to refer to these clinicians. Other place that you can find a therapist are online platforms. Now, there are different types of online platforms, and these are different than an online directory. The online directory is just going to give you a list of therapists that are taking on clients. And then from there, you can contact them. An online platform is you can search for a therapist, and then you can also reach out to them in that platform, sometimes make an appointment through that platform. So you can actually go back to that platform and you would do your counseling session virtually through that platform. So that's one way of doing or using an online platform. There are different ones out there. There's a bunch of them now. There's Hopscotch, which works with kids and teens. There's Grow Therapy. They, I believe, I'm not sure if they're kids, but I know they work with adults. So really, there's so many ways that you can use an online platform to find a therapist nowadays. You can even Google search online therapy platforms and you'll get tons of options out there. Other online platforms are going to be a little bit different, like a BetterHelp or Talkspace. Those are going to be more like, how do I say this? More like a counseling membership option where you would pay for a month of membership to working with the counselor that they're going to match you with. You can always change counselors if you don't feel like it's a good fit on those platforms. But how it works is it's asynchronous, which means that you would message the counselor and then the counselor will get back to you within a time frame with an answer or with, next steps. You can schedule appointments with them to do where you're doing like virtual talk therapy through video or audio. You can do that on those platforms. But one of the benefits of doing BetterHelp or Talkspace is that you can always message your counselor any time of day and they'll get back to you within their designated work hours. So that's going to be different than working usually with a counselor one-on-one, where you would have a set time where you meet with them and that's where you do the work. You usually don't have access to your counselor after hours via texting or being able to send an audio or a video like you would on BetterHelp or Talkspace. So these are just my, main ideas for where you can find a therapist or a counselor. I mean, I'm sure that there are so many other ways. Usually I find that the best referrals come from other therapists, but you don't always know a therapist, right? You don't always have a friend who's a therapist, mainly because they kind of know what other therapists specialize in, and they're looking to have referrals for clients that they don't feel competent within their scope of helping. So they usually have a list of other therapists that are going to focus on, let's say, my thing is I'm not competent maybe in eating disorders. Yet I know a lot of therapists local to me who are great with eating disorders. So then I would refer to them, to this client. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that well enough. But the last point I want to make about finding a therapist is that it may take some trial and error. So don't be afraid to keep, looking to find the best fit for you, because not every therapist out there is familiar with what you're struggling with. And that's not a reflection on you. That's more about the therapist training and experiences. We can't be proficient and experts in every mental health issue out there. It's just not possible. Many therapists nowadays niche down to a specific topic of interest to them. So you may not want to go to a couples therapist for eating disorders or vice versa. Hope that makes sense. I mean, besides, would you want to work with a therapist that doesn't have experience in helping you with your presenting issue? So it's okay to say if it's not working for you. However, I would suggest that you have that conversation with that therapist so you can let him or her know that you're looking to switch or it's not a good fit. And 99% of the time, that therapist can probably give you a really good referral to another therapist that could be a better fit. And, if that therapist shouldn't take it personally, there's that word should, they shouldn't take it personally. And if they do, well, honestly, that's on the therapist. And to that therapist, I'd highly recommend or suggest that you get some peer consultation quickly, or even supervision, and work on what might be happening for you there. But I want to let you know it's really a sign of growth and maturity that you're able to ask for what you need. And sometimes that means that you have to tell the therapist you're working with that it's not a good fit, and that's okay. So I hope you found this Put It Into Practice episode helpful. Let me know. Send me an email at lisa@lisamustard.com or send me a DM on Instagram. And I'd also love to hear from you about what topics you'd like me to cover in these Put It Into Practice episodes. So let me know what questions you have or give me some suggestions. You can ask for relationship help, anxiety tips, whatever. I'll see what I can offer you for help and ideas. I do want to leave you with one more thing. Listening to my podcast and thinking about what I'm sharing is just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg. You'll need to take action and put these ideas into play to see your life change. Remember, trying new and different things doesn't always make your life better. But when you find that your life is getting better, then I know you are doing things differently. Thanks for listening to The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit my website, lisamustard.com, for more content and to connect with me. And I'd love it if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.